নমস্কার, স্যাটারডে লাইভ উইথ সৌম্যর 109 নম্বর এপিসোডে সকলকে স্বাগত। আজকে আমরা অত্যন্ত আনন্দিত যে আমাদের সাথে রয়েছেন মিস জয়শ্রী প্রধান। উনি ইউপিএসসি 2023 সিভিল সার্ভিস এক্সামে 52 র্যাঙ্ক করেছেন। মোস্ট ওয়েলকাম মিস জয়শ্রী প্রধান।
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So first today I would like to ask you why do you want to come to civil services? From when this thought came into your mind?
I think, sir, from a very young age, because I had my grandfather, and from a very young age, there's this idea that someday you have to have big dreams, you have to have big ambitions. And when I was doing law, I was studying law, and there was this particular subject that I came across, international law, and I found it very interesting. And when I went into more detail, I realized that there are lots of career opportunities, and one of them is the Indian Foreign Service. And I think UPSC being a very challenging exam, and the fact that the dream is also, you must have big dreams, you must be ambitious. That is what attracted me to it. And the aspect of the fact that, you can also serve your country while you're doing something that is so ambitious and something that is so nice, it really made me want to write civil services.
Okay, very nice. So, what was the main? Let me ask you this way. দর্শকদের আমি বলে দিচ্ছি, তাদের যদি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকে কমেন্ট বক্সে লিখলে আমরা ম্যাডামকে কোয়েশ্চেনটা জিজ্ঞেস করতে পারি। তোমাদের যদি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকে তাহলে কাইন্ডলি কমেন্ট বক্সে লিখবে। Jayasree, let me ask you this thing that what was the most challenging part of your preparation? Can you please tell us?
So I think the most challenging part of the preparation was dealing with loneliness, sir. Because what happens is when you're preparing for this exam for quite a long time, you
Right.
also have to let go of some friends and you become a little lonely in the preparation, especially when you're sitting at home and you're not really in Delhi and you're not doing you so you don't have other friends, you don't have that peer group. So I think one of the biggest challenges was loneliness.
So, how did you cope it up with?
So I think it's very important to have a balanced lifestyle when you're preparing for this exam. So I used to study, and then after I used to study, I used to spend time with my family. So that family time really helped me cope with that loneliness aspect. Apart from that, so I was also in Telegram, and in Telegram you can be virtually connected with other people. You have to be careful, obviously. You cannot be connected with everybody, but there were certain groups that were formed, certain peer groups who were giving prelims, who were giving mains. So I knew that these were serious candidates. So that digital connection was also something that helped me cope with the loneliness.
So your major part of preparation was in Delhi or in West Bengal?
So it was in West Bengal only. I did not take any formal classroom coaching. So I was studying at my home only in Darjeeling.
Okay, fine. So people from West Bengal say a lot of things, but you didn't find any hardship while preparing in West Bengal, like lack of some materials, lack of some resources, or anything else?
So there are obviously hardships. Like you mentioned, sir, there is the lack of resources, there's lack of proper guidance. But I think, sir, because now we have the internet, I think in the olden days it was mandatory for you to go to Delhi and do all the coaching and everything. But now you can always choose, you can pick and choose. So for me, the way I went about it is I watched a lot of toppers videos. And when I watched a lot of toppers videos, I realized they were talking about the same few sources. Everybody was referring the same source. So I just ordered those books online. And if I had any difficulty, I just go, Google some things, YouTube. There are excellent YouTube websites. For instance, for geography, you have Amit Sen Gupta sir's website. For
Right.
environment, you have Parcham classes. So these amazing websites are also there. And I think, you also have guidance, you also have mentorship that is available for free these days. For instance, I remember there was this person called Satyam Jain, and he had this Understand UPSC group, and I just sort of joined it. And like I said, this was my peer group. So I think those challenges like lack of resources, etc., can be circumvented when you have the internet, because the internet is a great equalizer today.
Right. So we have already got a question from one of our viewer. Let That is related to interview. So I'll ask you later. So now my next question will be regarding the preliminary examination. Suppose someone is from the very beginning is trying to appear for the or prepare for the preliminary exam only, then how should he or she start with the books and all, and what should be the approach for preliminary exam, and that has the GS part as well as the CSAT also.
So for the GS part, I'll talk about the GS part first.
Right.
The GS part is quite simple when it comes to prelims preparation. In mains is a bit more complicated. The
Right.
reason why I'm saying it's simple in prelims preparation is because you have the same basic resources. So those are the resources you must know from from page to page, cover to cover. So you must know them very well. And for GS, what you should do is you should study those topics very well, those books very well, and you should take subject-wise tests. When you take subject-wise tests, then you become an expert in that particular field, and you realize what is your strong point. For instance, polity was my strong point, economy was slightly weaker, so I knew that in the actual exam I would attempt more polity questions versus economy questions. So taking a subject-wise test becomes very important when it comes to the GS parts for prelims. When it comes to CSAT, it depends on your strengths and weaknesses. My strength was reading comprehension. So reading, I'm good at reading, and math and logical reasoning was the other part of it. So what I used to do is 2 months before the exam, from 2:30 to 3:30, or from 2:30 to 4 o'clock, I used to sit and I used to practice previous year papers. And I used to sit and practice previous year papers, and whatever themes and whatever topics that I found difficult, I would go a little more deeper into it. So in that way, I also could do my CSAT well. So for prelims, what is required is control over the GS subjects, and for CSAT, what is required is practice. And overall, so I would say for prelims, what is also important is lots and lots of practice. You must give mock tests. I used to give subject-wise mock tests and overall mock tests, but you also must practice a lot of previous year questions. And if you can practice daily about 20 to 30 questions, then you are good to go, because you would have practiced more than 10,000 questions by the end of 1 year. And this is good enough for you to clear prelims, I think.
Okay, thank you so much for this elaborate answer. But I would like to ask you that whether the whole book should be read, or I mean, from cover to cover, or some suggested part is, I mean, suggested.
So I would say you have to use very limited resources. My resources are very, very limited. And when you're using these limited resources, you must try to read the important chapters at least cover to cover. Obviously, you can't read the entire book cover to cover. That is going to be impossible. But at least for instance, I'll give the Spectrum as an example. In Spectrum, there's a summary. After every chapter, there's a summary. The summary summarizes the entire chapter, and it has a lot of factual information that you must know from cover to cover. Similarly, in polity, the articles and certain factual information, that is what you should know properly, sir.
Okay. At this point of time, can I ask you to share the book list for preliminary examination, or including the CSAT part also? What books should be referred to?
Yes, sir. So for prelims, I'll talk about the resources, GS
Yes.
resource. Coming
Mhm.
to history, starting with ancient and medieval history, class 6 NCRT and class 12 part A NCRT. So these NCRTs are very important for building your foundation, and that it clears your base. And even for medieval history, class 7 NCRT and class 12 part B. That is the source for ancient and medieval history. And also, so there's this book called Lucent that comes, and the first 20 pages of it is excellent when it comes to art and culture and ancient and medieval history. That is what you must follow. After that, sir, when it comes to art and culture, Nitin Singhania is recommended, but I found Nitin Singhania sir's books to be quite bulky. So there's also summary that comes. And there was this video online, an academy video that summarizes the entire book in 8 hours. So I watched the
Okay.
8 hour video and I made notes out of it. And this was my notes for art and culture. And for geography, again, class 11 and class 12 NCRTs. For polity, Lakshmikant. For international relations and governance, you have to refer to current affairs. Current affairs, you refer to some any monthly magazine. I used to refer to Vision IS monthly current affairs magazine. For economy, class 11 NCRT macroeconomics, and and Mrunal sir's notes were also quite helpful. And after that, sir, for science and tech, again NCRTs, and for environment, I used Shankar IAS. So those were my basic sources. So for CSAT, I didn't have any standard sources. I just referred to any solved past 10 years questions. So any solved past 10 years questions, that was my basic source.
And what about the newspaper, daily newspaper?
So newspaper is very important. Current affairs. So I used to read the Indian Express. I used to read the
Okay.
Indian Express for current affairs, the Indian Express, and after that, so the monthly magazines. The Vision I used to
Okay.
refer to the Vision IS. You can refer to any other source that you like. I used to refer to the Vision IS monthly magazines. Sir.
And you read Indian Express each and every day.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you take any notes from those newspapers, or just studied it like that only?
So I don't think it's important, it's necessary to take newspaper notes, because what happens is that, especially in the beginning, you don't know how to make notes. And then if you keep making notes of newspapers, then the notes will become very bulky and it won't even be relevant to the exam. I would say just read it for general understanding, read the front page, read the editorials, read the economic section, and read the international affairs part. Read those parts very well. Apart after reading those, after reading that, then so just refer to the current affair magazines. The current affairs magazines would be it would summarize
Okay.
it well.
So, how much time one requires to cover the whole syllabus of a preliminary examination, and including CSAT? Ideal time, and may be different for different people, but normally, how much it takes?
So I think, for me, from December, July to December, you should be done with your
6 months,
basic sources. So in
approximately
six
six
months, you
months.
should, yes, so you should finish the basic sources, and you should just go through it and give subject wise tests. I mean, when I say complete it, obviously you won't be perfect at it, but you have
Right.
to keep testing yourself, and you have to be ambitious in your targets. So sir, that would help. For me, that is what I did. From July to December, I made sure that I would complete my basic sources.
Could you provide the insights in your daily study routine during your preparation period? I
Yes
mean,
sir.
six
So I
months,
used
but
to.
how many hours? What was the routine you
Yes, sir.
followed?
So I used to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was never a late. I was never a owl or an early morning bird. I used to sleep for 8 hours. So I used to wake up at 6 a.m. and then after that, washing up and everything. 7 o'clock, I would start studying. 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I would study. Then I would freshen up and everything, have my breakfast. Again, from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, I would study. So the point is, even though I do not have this particular, like, this timetable, like this is what I used to follow per time, I cannot tell you that. But I had this broad idea that before 3 o'clock I should be done with 5 hours of study. So before 3 o'clock I would study 5 hours, and after three I would take a small break. I would take an afternoon nap, and then after getting up I would again study for another 4 5 hours. So in total, I should study for around 8 to 10 hours. So, and that afternoon nap was very important to refresh oneself. So before three, I study 5 hours, and after three, I study another 4 5 hours.
Okay. Fine. At this point of time, one more thing I'd like to ask you. Okay, we'll discuss it later. Now we are moving to the second part, that is the main examination. So, first of all, what about the paper B? Someone is asking about paper B. Nilanjan Chanda. Good evening, ma'am. Can you kindly share the preparation strategy for paper B English language? I think, did you prepare separately for the language part?
No, is it? Can I please ask clarification to Niranjan? Is Are you talking about the mains or or the prelims?
He's talking about the paper B, that is paper A and B, which is in the main part, isn't it?
Means,
Language
oh, there is
papers.
no preparations. See, the thing is, you just need 25% to qualify. So 25% is even lesser than 33% in CSAT. CSAT, you need 33%. In the paper B, you only need 25%. So you just need a basic level of competency. So if you're worried about, I say, if your medium is English, then I don't think you should worry too much about it. Obviously, you should not take it lightly. But then, if you're worried about it, in case you're worried about it, write a few essays. And, write it from the perspective of preparing for your essay paper in your mains. In your mains, also, you have an essay paper. So if you're preparing for the essay paper in your mains, then you automatically are preparing for paper B also. So don't worry so much about it. Just prepare and as you're preparing, you'll be able to do paper B well. A few days before the exam, just go through a few previous year papers just to be familiar with what sort of questions they're asking. But because you only need 25%, I think it shouldn't be that huge of a problem.
As far as the main exam is concerned, were there any specific subjects or topics that you found particularly challenging, and How did you tackle them?
Yes, sir. So I think what I found challenging about about mains was note making, because everybody says note making is very important in mains, because your notes is what you end up writing in the exam. And this is across all the subjects, sir, not just any one particular subject. Across all the subjects, this was difficult, note making. So the way I tackled it is I transferred my note making into answer writing. So I used to write a lot of answers, and those answers became a basis of my notes. So in that way, I was able to structure my notes also in the form of UPSC notes.
Okay. There is a related question from Bittu Dash. Ma'am, kindly share mains preparation and answer writing, how to analyze answer writing, and also optional paper. So, first in GS part, how to write answers.
Okay, so how to write answers is, there are several ways to look at it. When you write an answer in a GS paper, what is required is a proper introduction. So first you must read the question very very well, and in each question there will be subparts. So you must underline the subparts. So in the actual exam, you'll get two sets of question papers. One set you can keep with yourself. The other set is there in the question in the answer booklet. So don't mark. At least I wouldn't mark the question in the answer booklet, because it would seem untidy. So I would just mark it in my own answer, the question paper that I would get. So there I would mark each and every subpart of every question. So to make sure that I would not miss out on any subpart of the question. So the first step to answer writing is reading the question well. Read the question well and mark each and every subpart that is asked. Then start with the introduction. You can start the introduction by giving a definition or some data or facts related to the question. After that, you take the underlined portion from the question itself and you write it in capital letters. And then you make a, and this is your subheading. And you, once you make the subheading that is directly copied from the question, then you write in point wise format: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What this does, it gives you confidence that you know this many points, and second, it makes it easier for the examiner to also correct your paper. And then finally, you give a few lines of conclusion. In your conclusion, you can add some catchphrases like Panch Pran or Viksit Bharat or India at 47. These are some basic catchphrases that you can add, that add some sort of masala to your answers. So this is how
Right.
you write answers.
Is there any difference of strategy for preparing for preliminary examination vis-a-vis the main examination?
Yes, sir. I think that what is required in mains is a level of a more in-depth analysis is required. A more in-depth analysis is required when it comes to mains. For instance, so like I talked about, in mains, what you need is note making. In prelims I did not really make a lot of notes because my resources were anyway so limited. So I thought that it's not very important for me to make notes. But for mains, I realized that you need to do a more in-depth analysis. So you need a lot of more answer writing practice. I think that's the main difference. The answer writing practice is what differentiates mains and prelims preparation.
Okay, okay, fine. What about the book list? Is it different from on the same subject? Is it different from preliminary, or the same book should be studied? Whatever you shared.
So I think the same books will do, because those are the base. That is the base for your preparation. Apart from that, you can read some further value addition material. For instance, this Vision IAS, they come out with this Mains 365. So in Mains 365, they cover all the topics comprehensively. And also, sir, especially for ethics, you can refer to toppers' notes. I had referred to Shubham Kumar sir's notes, who was the 2018 topper. He got All India Rank 1. So when you refer to toppers' notes, you get an idea about how they prepared. So I had referred to, for ethics, I'd refer to sir's notes. So in that way, just do some little value addition apart from those parts. And the other value addition that you must do in mains is you must keep some data and facts ready. So I had like a few A4 size sheets with me, and these couple of sheets I used to fill data, I used to fill quotes, I used to fill facts, and this is what I used to quote in my answers.
Okay. So two things, papers we'll discuss further. That is, one is essay and another is ethics. So how one should prepare for essay part?
So for essay, I think creativity is very important. Because creativity is very important, I would say don't try to limit yourself by following lots of rules. essay is there so that you are able to show your personality. And because it's there to show your personality, just be more creative about it. And don't follow too many rules also. What I did for essay preparation is, first I went through a few toppers notes. I think Vikram Gerwal sir, he got all India rank 51 in 2018, if I'm not wrong. He had gotten very high marks in essay. I think he had gotten around 160 marks in essay, which is the highest up till now, as at least that now that I'm aware of, or one of the highest at least. So when you look at his essay, you get an idea on how to write essays that the examiner is going to like. So you get an idea about what sort of essays to write and how to write the language that you're supposed to be writing in. So I first refer to toppers copies and take inspiration from them. After that, you once you realize, okay, this is how we're supposed to, you try practicing writing your own essay. And once you show it to somebody. I used to show it to my father. It can be anybody, it doesn't have to be somebody who's preparing for UPSC, because essay anybody can read. So show it to somebody and get their honest feedback. After you get the honest feedback, then make sure you have a list of quotes, again the quotes and the data part, which is also going to be important for ethics. So that's going to be very relevant. So I made sure for essay, I had a list of quotes, I had a list of data, I had a list of facts ready to add as value addition points in my essay. So this is how I prepared for essay. I think I only practiced about 5 to 6 essays. I didn't practice a lot, like I said, because I didn't want to make it very mechanical. I wanted to be creative with it. So I made sure that I did not overdo my practice. I think 5 or 6 is enough practicing essays.
Okay. Another thing is the ethics part, ethics, aptitude, and etc., including that case study part and all. So, how did you prepare for that paper?
So I think ethics is a most interesting paper, because there's a lot of case studies there, and there's a lot of interpretation also there. I think essay and ethics is very similar in the sense that you cannot mug up, or you cannot have this standard sort of answers there. You must show a bit of creativity. You must show a bit of individuality in these answers. For instance, when an ethics paper, when an ethics question asks you, what does integrity mean to you? You have to write what does integrity mean to you. So you cannot write what the book says. So in that way, ethics is very interesting. I think for ethics, what is important is the syllabus. The syllabus of ethics is very, very compact. It's small, it's very compact. And what you need to do is you need to make notes of each and every word of the ethics paper. Each and every word is important. Make sure you make notes out of it. After you make notes out of it, try to incorporate diagrams also. Here you can take inspiration from toppers copies like Shubham Kumar sirs. I refer to Shubham Kumar sirs. It's a very tiny. He has a lot of diagrams in it, so I refer to his diagrams. And I made sure that I made these notes. And what is also important is make sure that you have a lot of examples. Take inspiration from various IAS officers, IPS officers that are very famous, and make sure you are quoting those examples in your answers. This will show that you are serious about this job, and you really want this job, and you know all these people who are doing good things in this service. So that is your value addition, sir.
Okay, it's a unique strategy. Anyway, let me discuss one of the questions as being asked in comment box. Madam, regarding newspapers, the Hindu, Indian Express, which would be more effective? Just a question. Can you please answer?
I think it's a question of personal preference. Whatever you feel more comfortable with. I felt more comfortable with the Indian Express. I'll tell you why. It's because the economy section of Indian Express is very well given. It's written very well. And it's very understandable also. So, mostly because of the economy part, I used to refer to the Indian Express. And also, I think it has a little more factual information. So, but again, it's a matter of personal preference. You can choose any.
Okay. Another question. Now we're moving to the next part, that is the interview part. So, how did you prepared for it? And another question which has been asked in comment box, ma'am, please share questions asked in interview regarding West Bengal. Okay. So your preparation, how did you do it?
So, for preparation, after my mains results, I went to Delhi for interview preparation, because I knew that I was staying alone in my room and I needed a bit more introduction for interview preparation. And sir, I'm very lucky that I found lots of mentors there. When I went there, for instance, I met Sachin Jain sir from Ensure IAS, and then I met Mohan sir from IAS Baba, and all of these people. What they did is they instilled some sort of faith in me. They said, okay, you know what, you're good to go. You'll get good marks in the interview. So when you go there, when you go to Delhi, Go to a few institutes and take some and just take a one-to-one mock or take panel mocks. This will give you confidence in the actual interview preparation. Apart from that, your DAF, your detailed application form, also becomes very important. This is sort of like a CV that that the interview board has before them. So you need to be very careful about filling that DAF, and you need to prepare each and every aspect of that DAF very well. So my interview preparation was twofold. Number one is giving interviews, mock interviews. I gave mock interviews at lots of places. I gave it at I gave it at Vision IAS, I gave it at Next IAS, Ensure IAS, Next IAS. So I gave it at a couple of places. One part of it is that. The other part of it is preparing your DAF well. So knowing more about yourself. So that is what we do. And the other thing
Newspaper.
what was very important for me is also peer discussions. So I made groups. These were people who were writing means these are people who were giving interview also. So I had a current affairs discussion group. I had a law discussion group. So every day we used to sit and we used to discuss as friends, as people who were appearing for the interview, questions and answers in the interview format. So that was very important.
Okay, okay, is a very good one. And one more thing, did you do any job during your preparation or not? Just you were just only preparing for the exam, isn't it?
So I was only preparing, sir.
Yes, yes. Let me ask you, how did you, I mean, balance your time between studying, relaxing, and other activities? You said about it earlier, but just specifically balance of studying and relaxing and all.
So I think I followed the 888 strategy. That is, you have 8 hours. So 8 hours for study, 8 hours for relaxation, and 8 hours to sleep. So in the beginning, at least I followed that. Slowly, once you are used to 8 hours, then you increase the time to 8 to 10 hours. So the way I used to do it, so is I used to take breaks in between. I used to take breaks. Once I study for maybe 1 hour or 2 hours, I used to take a break. I also used to take afternoon naps. Afternoon naps, I think, is very important for somebody who's studying for 8 to 10 hours a day, because otherwise the day feels very long. But if you sleep in between and then you wake up again, you feel refreshed and you feel like, okay, I can study again. So taking afternoon naps, making sure that I was spending quality time with my friends, with my family, and even my friends, a few selective friends, I used to talk to them on the phone. So this is what really helped me, sir. So this is how I used to balance it.
One question we missed, Vedaduti Ghosh is also reminding us, ma'am, what questions were asked for in respect of West Bengal?
So I think that because my first preference is the Indian Foreign Service. Most of the questions were related to international relations and international law. I wasn't asked. I was asked a lot of questions with respect to West Bengal in the mocks, but in the actual interview, I wasn't really asked anything. I think there was only one question, which was a very. It wasn't even related to West Bengal. He just said, oh, you are from Darjeeling, and then you went to Bangalore, and then now you're here. So does that enhance the Pan India concept? That's all. So he did not really. I was not really asked any questions on West Bengal.
Do you have any relative, any of your relative in IFS? Because why did you choose IFS compared to IS?
So I don't have any relatives in the IFS. So I chose it because it's my area of interest, and I think that is very
Okay.
important to be interested in the job that you're applying for. So.
Okay, okay, fine, fair enough. And one additional thing I'd like to ask you. See, it happens that while you are studying a lot of time, it happens that you don't want to study because you are disappointed with it, and sometimes you think that you cannot make it. Okay, sometimes it happens. I don't know whether it happened to you also, not. So in that case, in that situation, what did you do, or if it happened to you actually?
So
Some ups
it
and downs, what I'm
happens.
talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much, sir. I think it's a part of your journey, and I think anybody who's serious about this preparation, because this preparation is so long, it's at least 2 years. All of us, we do face those moments where we feel as though we can't make it, and I think in those ups and downs, it's very important to have a good emotional support system. And for that, I had my family, and my family always believed in me. They always saw the best in me. They always told me, you can do it, you can succeed. So for some of us, our family is very supportive. For some others, their friends are very supportive. So whoever these people are, keep them very close. because they are going to help you, see, they are going to help you see the best in yourself when you don't see that in you. So I think my whenever I used to face these down moments, I had my family. Especially, I would like to mention my sister. My sister is only 3 years elder to me, so she's sort of like my best friend. So the things that I can't share sometimes with my parents, I can share with her. So every time I used to face these emotional breakdowns, I used to call her and I used to talk to her, and she used to make me feel okay. I think, sir, the other part is meditation is also very important. I used to meditate. Meditation helps you calm your mind, and it helps you give this sense of concentration. So I used to meditate at night. I used to meditate in the morning. Sometimes when I was stressed, I also used to meditate in the afternoon if I was too stressed. Meditating and journaling. So these are the small things that really helped me, sir.
One thing I mean, I forgot to discuss or talk to you right on optional subject. What was the optional subject?
So my optional was law.
Okay, so how to choose optional subject for a fresher? How will he or she choose his or her optional subject?
So I think a couple of factors will go into it. Number one is, sir, your interest, because you have to study the optional in detail. So because you have to study the optional in detail, you must be interested in it. If you're not interested in it, it's not going to work out. Number one is that. Number two is whether you have guidance in that particular field, or whether if you don't have guidance, whether it's a graduation subject. Because it was my graduation subject, I decided to take up law. But if you're taking a completely new subject, which is not related to your graduation, then I think some sort of guidance might be necessary. So I think these two factors is what you must take into consideration when you're picking an optional subject: interest and guidance.
Ach- Okay, we got another new question. Let me put it there. What approach should we take for 2025 aspirants?
Okay, I think if you're a 2025 aspirant, you have a lot of time, and because you have a lot of time, you must use it very, very wisely. And if you use these few months wisely, then I think you'll be able to make it, and you'll be able to do very well. So the strategy that you must adopt as a 2025 aspirant is, please have targets. So don't think that the exam is in 2025, so you have a lot of time. Don't think that way. Have set very ambitious targets. You can subscribe to a test series. It must have started by now for 2025 also, a year long test series. Either you join a prelims test series or a mains test series, whatever it is, or you can join both. What it does is it makes sure that you remain accountable throughout the year, throughout your preparations. Every week you have to give a test. So now you're not thinking of the exam that is 1 year away, you're thinking of the test that is 1 week away. And that is the sort of mindset that is required to clear this exam. You must take every day on a day to day basis. So you think of it like take a test series, and that is how you'll complete your entire syllabus also, and you will be able to assess yourself. So the most important advice I would give to 2025 aspirant is have a schedule. And to have a schedule, test series are really helpful. So you can join a test series for that.
Aspirants sometimes think that okay, I will study further, then I'll take the test. Okay, I'm not prepared right now for the test. So what should I mean your what should be your opinion?
So I think you will never be prepared for any test. You will never be prepared for any test. You will never be prepared for the exam also. One day before the exam, you will be thinking, I wish I had more time. I could study more. So that time will never come where you'll know everything. So you just have to, give. And when I talk about these tests, they are done in stages. So it's not like they will give you a very difficult test in the very beginning. The first few tests are the foundational tests. They'll be very basic tests. They'll be from the basic sources. So just go take it step by step. Testing is very important in this exam. At the end of the day, this exam is about practice. It's not, the knowledge is there, but if you don't practice it, then you won't be able to apply that knowledge. So I would say testing is very important. I would say start giving tests. Once you feel a certain level of confidence. But yes, if in these tests, I would say especially in prelims tests, if you are scoring less than 50, it means your concepts are very weak. So if you're scoring less than 50, then maybe you study more and then you give the test again. So again, when I say give test, don't keep giving tests over and over. Make sure that you are giving yourself time to actually assess the mistakes that you've made. That's also very important. You must assess the mistakes that you've made, and you must see what you could do better. That is the most important part about tests. So give tests, but also analyze them well.
Sometimes it happens that we don't find anyone to evaluate our answers. So can someone himself or herself evaluate, or analyze his or her answers?
So I think there are a few ways to go about it. See, when we are, and we can analyze our own answers also, but sometimes we are not very objective about it when we are looking at our own answers. So what we can do is we can show it to somebody else. I used to show it to my father because my father, he's also very knowledgeable, and I thought that okay, he would give me some basic pointers that this is what you could improve, etc. But apart from, like, just not even the knowledge, but just the handwriting or the presentation, those things, the basic things. Apart from that, so you can also join a test series. It's up to you. It's up to people whether they want to join a test series for evaluation. But if they don't want to join a test series, then you can also join peer groups. For instance, I was in this mains group in Telegram. On Telegram, it was the SFG group. It was done by this person, Understand UPSC. So I was in that group, and then there were a couple of people who were also writing mains there. And when they were writing mains, I remember I found a girl. So she liked my answers. So then we started evaluating each other's answers. So she used to send me her answers. I used to send her my answers, and we used to evaluate each other. Both of us cleared mains. Both of us cleared mains. So in that way, that peer reviews also helps.
Okay. Uh, we have another question from Akash Roy. Let me put it there on the screen. Ma'am, from when you started this, just question, from when you have started your UPSC preparation? I mean, she's talking about, he was talking about the time period. I mean, isn't it? I mean, after graduation or before graduation or during graduation, what?
So I prepared my UPSC preparation from January 2022. So January 2022, I thought. So see, the thing is, the thing about me is because I studied science up to class 12. After that, I did BA LLB. So I think I had a base in science. Then I had this base in arts also because I had done BA, and then plus I had a base in optional, which is LLB. So I had this base ready. So from 2021, I started my main preparation for UPSC, the actual preparation.
Okay.
Not
Uh,
sorry, it's not 2021, so 2022.
22.
I'm
Right.
2022.
22. Right. And what about the law optional? How did you prepare for your law optional? Actually, it
So
was
I
your
think,
right. Okay.
so for law optional, and I think even for any other optional, what is required is you need to have again, for main syllabus is the most important. So once you have the syllabus, you take the syllabus and you make sure that for every topic you have a list of questions, the previous year questions. You have a set of compiled previous year questions with you, and once you have these compiled previous year questions, you I used to make model answers for them. So my entire optional preparation was based on PYQs, previous year questions, making model answers for the same, and trying to revise those case laws and revising those articles over and over again. This is what helped me.
Do you suggest someone who don't have that this thing law as an in his or her background to take law as an optional?
So I think law is one option that anyone can take. It's not a lot of non-law graduates also have taken law option, and they've done very well. I think All India rank 6 in 2018, if I'm not wrong. Uh, I think he had economics in his graduation subject, but he took law as his optional, and he did very well. So I think it depends. You can take law as your option, but I think if you don't have law as your graduation subject, then coaching might be required because law does need certain level of understanding, which coaching is might help you. So if you don't have law as your law as your graduation subject, you might consider the possibility of taking coaching for it.
Ms. Pradhan, one thing I'd like to ask you, that someone is trying to prepare for next year UPSC. So, what should be his or her approach for preliminary first, then mains, or prelims mains at a time in both way? I mean, what should it be the ideally preparation?
So the prelims and the mains, they have to go hand in hand. They have to go
Okay,
hand in hand up till December. After
okay,
after December is completed, then from January you can do prelim specific preparation.
okay. For the next 4 5 months, okay. Okay, we have already replied one of most of the question. One question I can put it like, ma'am, when should I cover main related subject like security, IR, ma'am, PT 360? I will cover science, technology, environment, like topic.
Okay, so for IR, International relations is something that you do along with prelims preparation. So whatever you're studying for prelims will be relevant for your mains also. For security, you can refer to any online notes that you find. There are lots of online notes available for security. So make sure you follow those online notes. And you can do this after your mains also, after your prelims also, because I think security part is very compact. It's a very compact and it's a very small portion. It's very important from the perspective of your actual exam, but it's also very compact, so it's something that can be covered. But if you're asking this question and if you do have time, it is advisable to cover all these, especially the security part, even before the mains actually comes. I mean, it'd be great if you do that, if you can do that. But if you are not able to do that, if you don't find the time, then don't worry, you'll be able to clear it after, you'll be able to make up for it after prelims also. So for security, any booklet will do. For IR, whatever you're studying for prelims is also important. And again, for science and tech and everything, your means 365 P365 will cover it.
Was there any plan B for you? I mean,
So
if not this one, then what?
So I think my mindset with, and this is my personal view, other people may have a different opinion. My personal view is for the first two attempts, you should not have plan Bs. So the first two attempts, you should give it as though it is your last attempt. Like this is going to be my first and last attempt. This is going to be, and you're, even in your second attempt, you're saying this is going to be your last attempt. And when you study that way, you'll be able to focus, very well. Or if you reach till the age of 25, because till the age of 25 is anyway your studying years, so you don't really have that much pressure also. So I think up to that point you can afford not having a backup plan. But after your third attempt, or after a certain age, then I think it is advisable to have a backup plan, because then it will give you confidence that if not this, I can do something else, and that confidence is very important to clearing this exam also. So my viewpoint is, up to first two attempts, maybe, just give it your all.
And what is the I mean, this question will ask you, ma'am, what time you gave in your optional and GS subject respectively? The division of time, I mean, he or she is talking about.
So for optional, what I did is for throughout the year, what I did is I gave 60% of the time to GS, 40% to optional. Mostly because, again, I think I was a little more biased towards GS because I already had law as my graduation subject, so I already had that base. So all I had to do was make notes, and model it, like have model answers according to the PYQs. So throughout the year, I gave 60% of the time to GS, 40% of the time to optional. And then from January onwards, I left optional completely because I was completely focused on prelims preparation. And then after prelims is when I gave more time to optional. It was the opposite. After prelims, I used to give 60% of the time to optional, 40% of the time to GS. So this is what I did.
There is an interesting question from Vedaduti Ghosh. Ma'am, did you prepare for WBCS exam? If you
It
can.
was in my mind actually. I had it on my mind. I thought I should prepare for it. I remember after I gave my first prelims, UPSC prelims, I even filled the form for WBCS. I did fill for it, but then by the time the results came out and I had cleared it, I had cleared UPSC prelims. Now I didn't have time for UPSC mains. I didn't have time for anything else. So I just gave my entire preparation to just UPSC after that. I did fill the form. I could not prepare for it. I did not give it.
Okay, fair enough. And we have mostly completed all the queries, probably. Last question, I mean, last advice. What advice would you give to aspirants who are, I mean, currently preparing for UPSC examination?
The
Last,
exam I would
and
give,
briefly sum up like of this.
the advice that I would give to UPSC aspirants is, please just take it as an exam, and don't make it a life or death issue. Because what happens is, if you take it as an exam, you'll be able to do better in the exam. You'll have less pressure in the exam hall. So in order to take it as an exam, make sure you take it on a day-to-day basis. Forget about, whether your name will be in the final PDF or not, because that is not in your hands. You cannot control it. So just focus on what you're doing every single day, and just focus on doing your best every single day. And when you do your best every single day, the satisfaction that you feel at night, when you go to sleep, you'll feel so tired, you will fall asleep immediately. And then you'll feel a sense of purpose when you wake up, that okay, this is what I'm doing and it means something. So have that sense of passion and have that sense of purpose. And that sense of purpose comes when you are diligent and when you're consistent every single day. And at that point, the journey itself becomes so rewarding that the results is simply there. It is there. It is very important, but don't stress so much about the results all the time during your preparation stage. Just take it one day at a time and make sure you're consistent every single day.
Okay, that's enough, I think. Question are still coming. Okay, and again, that same question regarding mock interview, we have already covered those questions. Please try to go to the first part of the, I mean, talking to this person. I don't know the name actually. Name is not legible. Anyway, thank you, Ms. Pradhan. You have, I mean, discussed a whole lot of things. I mean, covered all the matters. And in future, if someone wants to take any suggestion from you, I think you should, I mean, will you be available to in some mode of communication or all, anything?
Definitely, sir. Sir, I have a Telegram channel, and oh, thank you. This is a lovely comment. I just saw it. That
Yes, yes.
makes my heart so warm. Thank you. So I do have a Telegram channel. You can follow me there. I'll be uploading my strategies and everything. I will also keep the comments open for questions in the future. So you can ask me questions there. So my Telegram channel is on AIR52 Jayasree Pradhan. So just follow it. There are already a couple of followers there in my Telegram channel, and I've already uploaded a lot of my strategies and a lot of my resources there. I'll also be uploading my notes once this year's prelims is over. I'll be uploading my notes also there, so you can follow my Telegram channel. And I'll always be open to questions. You can always ask.
Thank you so much. You have a busy schedule, but still you came here and discussed all the things. Thank you so much. Thank you all the viewers, and we'll end it up here. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.